Batisi TV, Lawan Rashapi Daka Frank Yamaha, the Maxi Sports Scooter A-Rox 155. Ringkat Bakanet Foodish, Ordar Mapi, Ninwan Ramani, Hakir Dobying Jompi.
Myntri Rangbah kejelau konrad kongkol sangma ulah Paidbah ya lai tuli ki bos ki banket ya ki Khynnah Skul hangni hanong ba shlong. Konrad loong ba jingdon jogini ki bos banket Khynnah Skul kan pinduna ya ka jingkhapnya kali hasor shlong namarba baros kata kan nong ba shlong ka khapnya tangdi ki kali ki balejbu balle shaw skul. Kani ka bos kade ka badon bat ka kamera hapo ban pej na ka benta ka jingsngan jong ki Khynnah Skul.
Beautiful school buses is a shared school bus system that will be very full of joy and easy for the school students.
Two and three.
From Tata Motors, we now handle equipment.
Sure.
This marks the handing over the buses formally in the presence of the Honorable Chief Minister. The buses take their first on of the city. Please, huge round of applause for the buses as they embark on this journey.
No, let them sing. Hey, nothing got. Come.
The bus with the Honorable Chief Minister and Cuba.
Come on. Still stay here. I will take them. This side. Surely.
Today, as our Honourable Chief Minister recently has just unveiled the shared commute buses and a number of other mobility interventions of our state, it is my privilege on behalf of the STEMS team to share a glimpse of this journey that has both culminated today with the arrival of these buses and in a sense has also taken off on a fresh start. In 2020, with an objective to understand the core issues and the contributing factors to congestion in Shillong City, the state government through the planning department organized a workshop on urban mobility which saw the participation of various key stakeholders from government departments such as traffic police, PWD, urban affairs, as well as participants from civil society, including representatives of schools, community heads, and faith leaders and others. In this workshop and in a series of deliberations and meetings held subsequently over the last 2 years, the last of which was held in October last year and helmed by none other than IIM Shillong, the picture that emerged was of an issue, as our Commissioner has stated, that is cross-cutting, that requires concerted and coordinated efforts by various agencies, that is truly multi-sectoral, and that requires a strong institutional mechanism to get things done. When we talk about the mobility question or the issue of traffic congestion in Shillong City, various issues are involved. Understanding the traffic capacity of the roads of Shillong, the need for improved road engineering, curbing unregulated parking and finding parking solutions, finding out mechanisms for stricter monitoring and enforcement of traffic rules, and most importantly perhaps, enhanced and efficient public transportation which needs to be introduced in Shillong City. This picture gained clarity after an important study on mobility gap assessment which was conducted by consultancy partners, which reinforced some of the major issues and the prevailing causes of traffic congestion in Shillong City. Amongst others, as you have seen in the slide, an ever-increasing volume of vehicles in the city in the face of geographical constraints that limit our capacity to expand our roads. Indeed, as a study has shown, every day 13 new cars and 13 new two-wheelers are introduced in the city of Shillong. The speed of the city's road network is less than 15 kilometers per hour. Meghalaya is the state with the highest annual growth rate in terms of vehicle registration from 2007 to 2017, the annual growth rate in vehicle registration being 17%. And over and above all of that, a startling figure which emerged is that 47% of all the vehicles in Meghalaya which are registered in Meghalaya annually are registered in Shillong City, that is by the RTO and the DTO of Shillong. Therefore, the broader mobility issue requires interventions not only in the long term, in terms of planning and infrastructure, in various policy measures, but also in short-term goals that address some of the most pressing issues. One of these most pressing issues, as we've all known, as we have seen, and which is the stress here today, is the load on the roads of Shillong City caused by students traveling to school, especially during the peak hours, which is seen to virtually bring the city to a standstill. A survey done by MIDFC, the Deputy Commissioner's Office Shillong, and the KPMG team found that of the 27,000 students enrolled in the 15 schools in the Dhanketi-Lamkhra region, 60% of these students go to school in private vehicles, of which 68% of parents use their vehicles for dedicated school trips. So the solution that emerged was, in a sense, unconventional. We have to bring about a system which is based on shared mobility. Unlike conventional school buses, the fleet of buses which is being introduced shall be used by multiple schools for school trips, and thereafter the same buses may be used by employees for their commute to offices, and subsequently on holidays or on weekends by tourists as well, thereby creating more efficiency and ensuring that the operations of the buses are sustainable. The idea is to reduce people's reliance on cars and create a solution that takes lesser road space and transports more people.
We have struggled, I should say, to a large extent to find a solution because the problem is so complicated and it keeps increasing. And if you look at the years to come, in about approximately, if I'm not wrong, 4 years or 5 years, I think 5 years is when we expect the vehicle numbers to double in our state. And that means that if today there are about 3.5 lakh vehicles that are there in East Khasi Hills, am I correct? 3.5 lakh vehicles. So if there are about 3.5 lakh vehicles, in about 5 years to about 7 years, I stand corrected, 5 years to about 7 years, that number is expected to go to 5 to 6 lakhs. So that's the kind of growth that's taking place. And obviously if you don't take steps today, then the problem will be much more complicated to resolve in the future. And hence all these challenges are there, and hence a lot of thought process has gone in. This is just one part of the proposed solution that we have. We also have a lot of plans to increase the walking facilities, where we had planned for skywalks in the city so that people can depend less on vehicles and walk more, because Shillong actually, if you are able to connect two locations vertically, or in a sense from a kind of a straightaway without having to go through the vehicle route, then the distance is much shorter. So for example, obviously if you walk from say Barik Point to all the way to Police Bazaar, it can be reached in about 10 minutes time. Or similarly, if you walk from Barik Point all the way to the Dhanketi or Don Bosco Square, we'll be able to cover it in about 10 minutes. So even if these 3, 4, 5 important locations were connected with skywalks, and we had parking for about 200 to 300 vehicles in each of these locations, then people would be able to park their vehicle there and then walk across and get their things done. So all these kind of things are in the pipeline, and in fact we were very sure that we'd be able to start one of the skywalks from Barik Point all the way to Police Bazaar, which was very much in our cards, and we had in fact already done the DPR, already in fact designed the entire walkway and how it would look, and it was a very modern one. In fact, we had taken designs from different parts of the world, not just in the country, but the better designs that were being made in different parts of more developed nations, because we wanted to give the look also of something that would be much better than say which is there in other parts of the country. So today is actually a vehicle day. We've got all vehicles for everybody. So that's what it is. So buses are basically what we have spoken about, and this pickup is something that is again very interesting, because we're giving a 50% subsidy to farmers and farmers associations and groups and villages who wish to apply. And the idea is that our farmers face a lot of problem for mobility. So they have the products, but they don't have vehicles to transport their products to the markets. And even if the vehicle is there, it's very expensive for them to do it. And hence, we have decided that on an annual basis, we will continue this program, because it's not possible to give all farmers, associations and groups vehicles at one time. But slowly and steadily, we will try to cover more and more farmers, associations and groups, so that the farmers, apart from the many other programs that we're doing for the farmers, you saw the farmers market, apart from that, that's just the farmers market. Apart from that, there are many mission mode programs that we're doing today. There's a lot of stress on food processing and training. There's a lot of stress on welfare programs for farmers. So while we're doing all of this, we're putting up solar-powered cold storage systems for farmers through cooperative societies. Hence, in all of these, this element or this factor of transportation was something that was missing. And hence, we strongly felt that this had to be addressed. And so, I'm hopeful that I could see some of the farmers out here who are there. And I'm sure that this will go a long way in helping the farmers. And as we go along, every year, if we can give 50 to 100 vehicles every year to our farmers, so we're looking at about in 5 to 10 years, we will have at least about 500 to maybe 1,000 Mahindra pickups or whichever vehicle that is there, the farmers will have, and it will be a very strong network of transportation system, which then will ultimately really help the farmers in terms of them being able to make sure that their product reaches the end consumer or the market area. So that's what the farmer mobility project was all about. And the last one, the third one, is the prime tourism vehicles. Again, this is another step towards improving the overall tourism sector. Just today we have passed the tourism policy, the new tourism policy for the state. And in that we have many aspects about tourism, and I don't want to go into details of that. But we realize that through these vehicles, we will be able to provide good service to the tourists who come in, and obviously we'll also be able to provide the job opportunities for a large number of our entrepreneurs. And some of you who may have traveled to different parts of the country or maybe different parts of the world, you will realize and you'll notice that 50%, maybe I would say, I'm just giving it a number, 50% of my personal experience, wherever I have gone, has always depended on the vehicle and the driver who has driven me in that particular country or that particular city. And we don't realize it, that how important that experience is for a tourist. Because if the vehicle is bad and if the driver is mean, then you don't enjoy too much. And therefore, you imagine if the driver is good and the vehicle is good, And the driver, whenever the children come in, they smile and they, take the bags from the children, or they ask you, how are you doing? And the vehicle is clean and nice. The entire experience for the tourist changes. And hence realizing this factor that it's important to have good vehicles, and also more important to have well-trained drivers who are there not just as a driver but also as a tourist guide, and they become the brand ambassador for our state.
These are groups from all across Meghalaya. We have West Delta Hills Farmer Producer Company, we have the Dumingdi Grey IDCS, the Lakshman Lake IDCS. Could you please keep the applause going? This is a very landmark initiative where entrepreneurship is being promoted in agriculture. Mr. Arligor Milliam. Mr. Willison Ianga. Ms. Theresa Linda, Shillong Eco Adventure Tour Services, Nomads Adventure, and Halatindra Ecotourism Cooperative Society. These are 10 beneficiaries of the